Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. So we're getting closer to the heart of earnings season. This week will get busier very quickly, and I mean, as you'll see, there's pretty much big names every single day over the coming 5 day stretch. I'd say one thing to remember, and this is just all the time, is that earnings don't happen in a vacuum, meaning that like what goes on in the overall market is also going to have an impact on how earnings play out. I mean, it won't influence the numbers, but it will influence reactions. And for people like us that trade options, I mean, the reaction is more important than what the numbers are, right? Because we want movement, and if the overall market is very strong, then beats and moves higher tend to get rewarded more. If the overall market's weak, then it's the opposite. And if the overall market's choppy, you might see some more muted mixed action, right? So things to consider as we start to get closer to like the heart of earnings season, all right? Before the open on Monday, Bank of America, so about $1.75 is what's priced in now. Um, I don't know if there's going to be a ton of uncertainty because you had JP Morgan, Citi, Wells, Morgan Stanley all reported this morning, and I mean Bank of America and Goldman haven't reported. So Bank of America's Monday before the open, and Goldman's Tuesday before the open. So Goldman, just for reference, right now is priced in at about 18. So we'll go to that. But Goldman's Tuesday before the open, so you can see, but it's priced in at about 18. But after the reports this morning, probably the only way these two are interesting if they have like a surprisingly large beat or a surprising miss, right? Because I mean, we have a lot of the numbers out there, so people kind of know what to expect, and probably only see a huge move if it's like way better or a lot worse than those others. So um, I think I'd just rather focus on them after the reports come out. After the close on Monday, nothing of interest. Before the open on Tuesday, like I said, Goldman Sachs, J&J, another big name, about 525 is what's priced in. You can see it's been in a pretty steady downtrend into earnings. Not the prettiest chart, and actually only on rare occasions does it have big moves on earnings. So I think I'm gonna leave it alone. It is a big healthcare name though, and it certainly could have an impact on the entire sector. Lockheed, so about 17 points is what's expected here. First is the defense stocks report, so definitely could move some money around in that group. Last couple of quarters have not been great though, so they're gonna need to put together a decent print to get any momentum going. Probably be more of like a post earnings focus for me. Tuesday after the close, so now we start to get some of the bigger ones. Netflix, which is priced in about 32 now. I think it's an interesting setup. I mean, you can see pretty tight few month range here. It's within striking distance of that April gap, obviously. It seems to have held in a lot better than other names the last few months. So I would say to me that says expectations are a little higher. And after a quiet quarter in July, it seems like a nice setup for a volatility strategy. ISRG, about 13 and a half points is what's priced in. Had a surprising miss last quarter, but snap backed really fast. So that was this move, gap down and then rip. But that's also that stretch in July where like bad news was just getting bought left and right. I don't know if that's going to be the case again this time around, so they'd better deliver. It had a big move on earnings in April, and it seems like this is a setup where it should see elevated volatility. So maybe I'll look at like a speculative play here. Before the open on Wednesday, big chip name ASML, about 31 points. What's priced in? Methodical downtrend. So that's kind of an avoid on two fronts for me. The first being that I don't really like playing stocks and steady trends for earnings, and also my rule of thumb last quarter, and it'll be the same going forward this quarter, is that I'm going to be avoiding all semi reports until I see the stocks move enough to pay option players. So that's going to be a rule of thumb for all semi earnings. BKR, so about $1.50 is what's priced in here. It's the first of the energy names to report, so it could move a few names around. Schlumberger, Halliburton, probably going to be the most sensitive of this, but the thing with BKR is that it's actually been underperforming quite a bit recently. So, either earnings justify the underperformance, or maybe you could play some catch up because Schlumberger and Halliburton have been quite a bit better. And then also Procter and Gamble, so about 6 points is what's priced in. Um, can occasionally be volatile. Right underneath the 52-week low, has room in either direction. Might be like a secondary focus for me, depending on how the week goes, because I'd really like to see the option pricing come down a bit. After the close on Wednesday, so Biggie Tesla about 20 points is what's priced in. It should be interesting. I mean, delivery's disappointed. Twitter saga has been a huge weight. I feel like the stock looks set up for a bounce because of got down into like this big support area, and it's been down pretty much straight into like pretty much straight down for the last couple weeks. But I guess the question is, does it have a bounce ahead of earnings, or does it need earnings to bounce, right? How do earnings look because deliveries missed? So, I have some leftover options on it. I don't know if it's a setup where I want to add more. It'll definitely be something I'm watching after the numbers come out, though, because Tesla is typically a pretty good day trading stock. IBM, so about 750 is what's priced in. Serial disappointer. I don't know what else to say about it. Stock has been for sale for a couple months after last quarter, so it is near pretty big multi-year support. You can see, so it is, I guess, maybe a little bit more interesting, but I also, I guess I don't like the option pricing as much. I will say though, as far as consistency, one way or the other, it does tend to move pretty well around earnings. So option pricing might not come down that much, but I'm just not sure. I'm really on the fence with IBM. And then Lamb is another big chip name. They priced it in 27 points, but to me, it's the same story as ASML. Don't like the chart, and until I see the semis move enough to pay options, I'm leaving them alone for earnings. Before the open on Thursday, you have a bunch of industrials, but really just nothing that catches my eyes setup wise. AT&T, this is really just a brutal chart. You can see since last quarter, this has just been kind of straight down. They're pricing in 80 cents. Um, I don't know what they're gonna need to say to turn this around, but this has just been like nonstop selling now since August. Also, Verizon could move off of this, but Verizon actually reports later in the week. After the close on Thursday, an interesting one, Snap. So about 2 points is what's priced in. I feel like this could be one of the reports that actually moves the most money around next week, because it's the first of the social media names to report. It got crushed. It got crushed in May, and it got crushed again in July. And it seems like after kind of like a tight few months, it's set up for a big swing percentage wise again. And because it's the first name in the group, right, the social media names, uncertainty's higher. So Pinterest, Meta, Google, like I feel like all those names could be moving off of this. So it just seems like an interesting setup for movement, and also seems like it's an interesting could set up some interesting sympathy plays. Uh, Sam Adams, so about 34 points is what's priced in. This would only be interesting if they can deliver. Look at the chart, so you can see it's really just kind of ticking up into like the year-to-date resistance and downtrend. So, actually, I guess it could be a decent setup for a volatility strategy because I guess it with it at the top of the downtrend, it could have like a quick move back down to the bottom of the trend, but I don't know. The option pricing's high, liquidity's low on the options, so it's really just not an easy name to trade. But every once in a while, you'll see a pretty big move on earnings. And then Friday before the open, American Express pricing in 9 points. It's had some larger moves on recent quarters. Just had a huge hammer reversal off the low. Right now, I think the option pricing just seems too high to play this one, but maybe if it comes down through the week, could be a better setup, and or maybe like sets up like a sympathy play on like Visa or even like Mastercard. And then HCA, so about 15 points is what's priced in, and it's a big hospital name. It's been really volatile in recent quarters, so you could see like huge gaps, very very gappy, actually historically around earnings. Liquidity isn't great though. Um, Option wise, it doesn't tend to get a lot of volume, and the bid ask spreads can be a little bit wider. But maybe it's something to look at as like a spec play just to see if it can continues a pattern of 10% plus gaps on earnings. But really, depends how the week goes and if the volume comes in on the options at all. And then Schlumberger and Verizon, two other names Friday, but so for Schlumberger you have Baker Hughes before it earlier in the week, so that'll impact Schlumberger, and then for Verizon you have AT&T reporting the day before, so that's going to impact that. So I don't know if I'm going to be involved with either of those, but there are bigger names Friday, so maybe something to look at. All right, so as you can see, just gets busier and busier for basically now through the end of October. So it's gonna be a lot going on. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information about trading earnings with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay well, and I will talk to you on Monday.